Hello, friends. I can't see you, but I know you are there, and this is a happy moment. So I'm feeling called to share some words dedicated, targeted to those of us who are mindfulness practitioners. And before I do, I want to share sort of a preface. My sense is that the words and the messaging that I'll be sharing about will be met with resistance right away. And so I'd like to encourage us right now to soften our heart, to soften our belly, to relax the muscles around our eyes and our ears, and to drop our shoulders as though we were dropping heavy bags at the doorstep of our dwelling place after returning home from a long, long trip away. Imagining how good it feels to put those bags down after carrying them for so long. I have a call to action suggestion for us as mindfulness practitioners right now in these charged and very trying, uncertain times that we're in regards to this global health pandemic. And my call to action is this, and there's five elements to it, five calls to action. The first one is to befriend ourself, to befriend the entirety of ourself, our whole experience, whatever it is. Whatever's coming up for us, to befriend it. The second one is to cultivate joy. The third is to practice gratitude. The fourth is to prioritize rest. And the fifth and last one is to be diligent and creative in engaging with our mindfulness practice. And it's these 5 calls to action that I have a sense will be met with that resistance right away. Like, oh, it's not enough. It's not important and it's not enough. Other things are more important right now. That all sounds great, Nicole, but I'll do that later. Those things, I'll do that later when things settle down, when things return back to normal, whatever that means. I will do those things later. Right? If that's what comes up for us, which is very normal and makes sense. I'd encourage us to look more deeply into these elements, these calls to action. Because as mindfulness practitioners, these are foundational elements in our tradition. Especially for those of us who are practicing in the tradition of Thich, Nhat, Hanh, the Plum Village tradition. These are foundational elements. We have such a strong, conditioned, collectively held habit energy of thinking that taking action means going out and doing something. Something that we can be seen for. Something that can be pointed to and we can get praised for. Something that we can say, hey, I went out and did this. Right? But as mindfulness practitioners, our most important work, our most important job is to tend to our own garden of well-being. To water the seeds, to nourish the seeds, to strengthen the seeds in us that will create joy and ease, happiness, balance, solidity, compassion. To tend well to these seeds in our own garden. That's our most important work. Because with the insight of Interbeing, we see clearly that when we care well for ourselves, we automatically are taking good care of everyone and everything else around us. It's not separate. It's interconnected. Our well-being is the well-being of everyone else. Our world, our country, our state, our city, our household, our life is changed right now. It's changed drastically. But what hasn't changed are the teachings in our practice, are the tools and the exercises and all of the elements that we are encouraged to do by our teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. These things have not changed. They have remained the same. So there are no backroom teachings that have been reserved and will now be brought out because we're in a global pandemic. There's no advanced, unique, special, extra teachings to utilize right now in this collectively held time of great challenge. The practice is the same. We have our practices of mindful breathing, of mindful walking. We have sitting meditation. We have opportunities to engage with the Dharma, the teachings themselves. We take refuge in the Sangha. We water our seeds of joy and ease so that they can become stronger. These are foundational elements of our practice, and these have not changed. So there's nothing extra or different about our practice right now. And if there is something different in regards to our practice, The difference is that right now it is more imperative, and we have a greater responsibility to our collective human family to do our practice and to do it well. So if anything has changed, it's that. Please do your best not to underestimate, undervalue the importance of our practice, of the teachings we've been given by Thich, Nhat Hanh. These are not passive practices. These are very much action-based. So it takes a little bit of shifting of our view, right? To let that in and penetrate. Our view, our lens through which we see the world, that's our biggest obstacle when it comes to transformation, when it comes to engaging with our practice. Because, sometimes I get a very clear reminder of how radically different our practice really is from the general way of the world. Sometimes I forget, and then I'm reminded, like, oh yeah, this is really different. So it takes a shifting of view to see that, mindful breathing, that's an action. It's an important action. And it translates outside of here, my own self. Mindful breathing is not just for me. It's for everybody. I've been reminded lately of the story that Thich has shared from back during the Vietnam War in his work with the boat people who were escaping from Vietnam. And he shared about how the boats, these small boats, would be so full of people, and they would often capsize and turn over in the water because of the frantic energy on board, and the panic, the worry, the fear. But if one crowded boat, if a crowded boat had one person on board who was able to bring their sense of calm, who was able to remain, this sense of ease, composed in their demeanor, if they were able, if there was one person on board who was able to bring that, it affected everyone else on the boat, and the boat arrived safely to the other shore. There was no problems as far as capsizing or difficulty on the water. One person on board who was able to remain calm and at ease, it was enough to save everyone on board. So our energetic presence, how we show up, it matters. Joy and ease, they don't create themselves. So if we come in contact with someone we feel embodies the spirit, this energy of calm and ease, we feel good in their presence, that doesn't create itself. That person has invested in those energies. And as mindfulness practitioners, that's our work. To do this work for ourselves so that we can be of service and benefit to others. Not separate. It's not separate. Self-care is care for everyone else. So please invest in your practice. Please don't underestimate the importance of the foundational elements of our practice tradition. Please continue to take refuge in your Sangha, in your beloved community. Take refuge in the teachings from our teachers. We have so many great teachers. Take refuge in your breath, in your steps, in your sitting. And be creative. Yeah. Cultivate joy, practice gratitude, prioritize rest. Right now, as mindfulness practitioners, this is the most important thing we can do for the benefit of ourselves and the whole world.